All right, welcome to what we hope will be the first of many podcasts coming from the Chaminwood region of F3, which includes Channahon, Minooka, and Shorewood here in Illinois. We'll get into exactly what F3 is in a little bit, but first I wanted to introduce my partner, the man who's making sure that this podcast actually gets off the ground. He's been keeping me accountable and making sure that this comes to fruition, and possibly the tallest person I know. Doghouse, welcome. How are you doing today?
Good. Guilty on both counts. I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. How's it been going? Have you gotten your feet back under you since being out of town recently?
Yeah. Just got back in town from Talladega with a few of the other packs Monday morning. Trying to get back into a rhythm. I was using it to kind of take a little time off, rest a few things, but yeah, I think I'm back to a good standard summer rhythm now.
Okay, good. How many of you guys went down there, by the way?
There were nine of us total, and eight of us were F3 guys. So one
Wow,
of them were working on EH, and
that's pretty awesome. Good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know it's been a couple days now. This week, May 1st, we started the Bricklayer Challenge, which has been awesome. It's something that Millville introduced here in Chaminwood, and just to give a brief rundown for anybody who's not familiar with it, the entire month of May, every day in the month of May, we're committing to 60 minutes of exercise and drinking half your body weight in ounces of water, which for me being a bigger guy is tough. I'm drinking like 120 ounces of water every day, which is
I'm
ridiculous.
with you.
Following a nutrition plan, we get to choose our own, but it's keeping being committed to some sort of plan to keep our queen in check. Reflecting and journaling every day for 10 to 15 minutes. I know that's been a challenge for a lot of guys that they've talked about it. Um, Reading 10 pages of a nonfiction book, which I think is also a challenge as we get older to commit ourselves to reading. The digital sunset, which I think is really interesting, putting the cell phone away and no screen time an hour before bed to help us decompress and get ready for sleep. And then finally, the accountability check-in with your shield lock, I think is awesome. It's a great way to keep yourself accountable, which is a lot of what F3 is about. I'm
Mhm.
curious if you're doing the Bricklayer Challenge where you've seen it be more difficult these last couple of days. Any of those six areas come to mind?
Yeah, for me, I'm with you on the water. I'm 140 ounces. So that's, five of my six of my cups, my 24-ounce
Mhm.
cup. Um, the the journaling, I already kind of do a little bit anyway, so that's just an extension of that. Reading, I'm fine with reading, but I think the biggest outcome I'm looking for is in the dieting. So I'm tracking everything through an app, and that's helped me. The visibility, I think, more than anything, has helped me.
Yeah, I think the intentionality, I do the same thing. One of my nutrition goals was to write down everything that I eat. So
Hmm.
I have a notebook and I'm writing down, which makes me think about everything that I'm eating a little bit differently. And the workouts themselves, obviously, we'll talk about this, but F3 boot camps are typically 45 minutes. So you've got to find 15 minutes of exercise somewhere else.
Hmm.
For me, that's been great. I've been working out with Rooney and Spike Horn and Soft Hands to do a mile a day in May as well. So that
Nice.
usually between that and some like 100 Merkins a day, usually that fills that other 15 minutes. It's been really good. So I wanted to transition into more of a formal intro. While this isn't necessarily an F3 sanctioned podcast, that is the reason we're here. It's how Doghouse and I met. It's principles and the way that it impacts our lives are what we'll be talking about. F3, of course, is fitness, fellowship, and faith. It's the foundation of this show. And with that in mind, I'd like to quickly introduce a little bit more about what F3 is and why you should care if you don't already know. So, Doghouse, why don't you start with the F3 core values?
Core values: one, we are open to all men. Two, we are free of charge. Three, we are held outside, rain, shine, heat, or cold. Four, we are led in a peer rotating fashion. And five, we always end in a circle of trust.
All right. All right. The F3 mission is to plant, grow, and serve small workout groups for men for the invigoration of male community leadership. We also have a credo. What's our credo?
And our credo is to leave no man behind, but leave no man where you find him.
All right. All right. So this episode and the podcast in general, I think, will be broken into three different sections in line with the three things that we talked about. So we'll talk about first F stuff, the fitness portion of what it is that we do. We'll talk about some second F stuff, more the fellowship behind F3. I think the reason guys keep coming back out. And then third, we'll
100%.
talk about some community related stuff that's going on that allows us to give back what we're building here.
Hmm.
So I'll start with a workout of the week, kind of a focus on one post that really resonated with me this week, and it's yesterday. It's yesterday at Three Rivers in Shanahan. It's usually a big group of guys. It's usually a lot of fun. There's a lot of energy, going into the weekend. But yesterday was a real ass kicker. It
Yep.
really was tough. Den Mother came down from Plainfield, which is the region that we split off from to the north. And he just it's funny because I want to say that he really killed us, but he was joking with Rooney before the workout, and he said, it's not going to be that hard. Like I'm not planning on killing you guys. Looking back at it, he did
Yeah.
this rotation of like one rep of one exercise and then four reps of another exercise. So he did like one rep of blockies and then four reps of curls without putting the coupon down, two reps of blockies, eight reps of curls, and then running from station to station throughout the AO. So he did blockies and curls and big boys and burpees and parking lot running. I don't know why it was, but I heard like three other guys say like how hard that workout was. And I don't know how it felt to you, but that one really that kicked my ass more than anything else did this past week.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So I use Fitbit, and like a lot of us use our watches, and that was one of the first workouts. So there's three zones, right? There's moderate, vigorous, and peak. And that was the first workout I think I've been in vigorous or peak for the entire workout. And like I had 20 minutes in peak, and I usually get
Wow.
two or three max. So that
Wow.
was yeah, that was a good one for sure.
Yeah, you structured it really well. Like I appreciated that you were quickly moving from like side straddle hops to squats or like burpees
Yeah.
to LBCs, whatever it was. It was a good rotation of like there was never a point in which we weren't moving. And even in between to run from one station to the station throughout the AO, I just thought it was really, really well done. And
Hmm.
even his COT was really well done as well. Um, but that's definitely one of the harder workouts. It actually made me think in a strange way, like are Chaminwood workouts not hard enough? Because like that's probably what they're doing in Plainfield on a pretty regular basis. I wondered if ours just aren't that hard.
It's definitely a bar to be set for us, especially on Three Rivers. So that was my takeaway too. Was Three Rivers has been okay. It's kind of ramping up with the weather, but we needed to really kick it into gear, and I think Denweather really did that. So I'm going to jump on the cue sheet. I'm going to see if I can keep his fire up for us one of these Fridays here.
Good, good, good. Awesome. So speaking of the AOs of Three Rivers in particular, I wanted to share like an AO spotlight. But before I do that, there's a second workout that also stood out to me, not because it was as hard as Friday's was, although Picasso led it and it was sneaky hard in this way that
Hmm.
I've seen Picasso workouts be really sneaky hard in the past too. He focuses a lot on shoulders, on upper body, on like the John Cusack, like carrying the coupon everywhere you go. And for some reason, like that sort of exercise to fatigue, whether it's the coupon carry or curls, like I don't know if you feel the same way, but the Picasso workouts always seem to trash my shoulders. My
Hmm.
shoulders and my arms just don't feel the same afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. He did one at the island last year where I don't think we put our arms down the entire workout.
Yeah. And you do little things
Yeah.
like Grady corns. You don't think that's a very big exercise, but then you do that for like 10 minutes and you can't pick up your arms anymore.
Yeah, when you've broken the muscle down enough where that is a challenge to do a Grady corn, right? When you take a simple exercise and make it hard. Those are
Yeah.
some of my favorites.
Yeah, I think he does a really good job in that way of, we talk about modifying as necessary. And usually we talk about that. It's like if you've got an injury or if you've got like a limitation, just modify, like do what you can. But he does it in a way where he's like modifying it to make it harder and to make it more challenging. Like, take a simple
Exactly.
thing and making it harder. So his workout, the reason I brought it up is because his workout was in honor of a PAX, Tommy Bartlett, who unfortunately suffered a stroke and has had a lot of physical challenges. And um, I was just so moved by the fact that we took this workout and Picasso moved it from the campus over to like an adjacent site so that we could be right across the street from Tommy's house. And we essentially brought F3 to him. And I don't know if you've seen anything like that, but I've never seen that kind of commitment to, like we said in the credo, like leave no man
Yeah.
behind.
So Picasso did that over reindeer games. If you remember, they did their CSOP at Axel's house when Axel was recovering.
That's right. I was not a part of that, but I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. So Picasso's he's good about that. That was special. I had met Tommy. But the brotherhood of F3, he's an F3 brother. He's an F3, he's a brother. So
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
had to get out with that one.
Yeah. Regardless, I had not met him before Thursday, but you could tell how much it meant to him. Like to have
Hmm.
this, like you said, a brotherhood that I guess it's somewhat like a fraternity or like a family that you don't lose those guys just because you can't keep coming out. I think that's part of what uh what the second half is all about. It's really part of what I think makes F3 special.
Yeah. It's like the locker room for me, for anybody that played sports, right?
Mhm.
It's that male camaraderie and razzing and all that comes with that and everything in between.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I'll come back to Tommy a little bit later, but I wanted to spotlight one of the AOs. It's actually my first workout was at the Wood in
Hmm.
Shorewood. It's Four Seasons Park. It's got this enormous hill, of course, right in the center of it. And I think that makes for really good cardio, really good strength training going up and down, depending on how the Q uses the hill. But it's really nice. It's got the big parking lot, the big pavilion, lots of paved trails all around the area. It's close to a runnable or ruckable neighborhood, which we did today.
Hmm.
And of course, that hill is a big challenge. So I think when we look at new AOs anywhere in the country, I think those sorts of features always make something really attractive, like all those. And I think it's probably the reason we have so many boot camps there, so many opportunities to use it. Um, the Monday, of course, is never miss Mondays. I think they've done a great job at keeping guys out to that. I personally don't work out on Mondays, but I know that's there. The Tuesday
Hmm.
Run Club, the site queue there, so I'm always there for that. Wednesday, I think there's a Black Diamond, but I don't know that there's another post there. And then
There's both.
Thursday, there's both. Okay.
Hmm.
So Thursday is the extra early boot camp, the 4:15 workout, which is I've been trying to get to that just to double tap. And uh, that it's weird now getting used to getting up at 3:25 in the morning to go
Yeah.
work out at 4:15. And of course, Saturday boot camp and ruck club, like I mentioned a little bit earlier. How many of those do you typically go to for the wood on a
Yeah.
regular basis?
I'm good for one or two or three. Yeah, usually Saturday's a package deal. If you do one, you do both.
Okay.
I try to get out at least once a week. Otherwise, sprinkling a black diamond here and there, or a Wednesday.
So,
Mondays I try to get down to Wilmington. So
mm, yeah, the island. The Black Diamond, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's on my 2025 bucket list. We have never done
Mhm.
a Black Diamond. I've like honestly, I've been so intimidated by like the stories I hear coming out of Black Diamonds. Like I'm not. I keep saying I'm not ready, but you're never ready for the stuff. But by the end of the year, I'm like, I'm going to do a black diamond. Like I'm going to get into it. I'm going to push myself and get uncomfortable. Uh, but yeah, I don't know what to expect. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I've only done a couple, so I'm no expert by any measure, but the few I've done, I've been like you've been a little more heavier on the lift than on the cardio.
Mm.
Let's see. Um, Foreclosure did one that was basically a lift club with a little bit of running, and then Grubx did one as well. That was pretty much a lift club as
Did
well.
you know
So
that going into it? Like what kind of setup it was?
I had an idea. I knew for sure with Grubx. I had an idea with Millville. So
Okay.
I'm
Yeah, because
sorry, Foreclosure.
I've heard some where they're just like Indian runs the whole time. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no way. I'm not ready for that. No, thank you. One of these days. One of these days. All right, so let's transition into some second F stuff. I really wanted to take this time to hear more about this trip to Talladega. You mentioned at the
Yeah.
top, like you went with 8 or 9 guys, like a bunch of F3 guys. I saw some pictures and some videos that looked like a ton of fun, but I'm really just curious from a setup standpoint, how did this all come together? Who is the ringleader? How was it? How was that trip down there with other F3 guys?
Yeah. It was a once in a lifetime for sure.
Mm.
Um, so it came together. They've done it for a few years now. A couple of the other guys went about 2 or 3 years ago. Really, Hanger is the Hanger and 1040 Easy are really the kind of godfathers of it. They put it all together. I think they've gone independently on their own. But this year there was a spot open. I know I've heard Squidward, and Baby Mama talk about it quite a bit. Burn Ends as well, and it just sounded like a blast, and it was. So I'm not a huge NASCAR fan. I'm a pretty big fan of any sports, but don't really follow NASCAR too much. But you know, Talladega Nights. You know about the movie. You've heard about the
Mhm.
raceway. It's the biggest raceway, or one of, maybe not the, but um, it's just one of those things you hear that you know about pop culture, and definitely a bucket list item type of thing for me that I would definitely not have done without F3. So yeah, Hanger put it together about October. We've been counting down the days, and just an absolute
It goes all
blast.
the way back out to October. Wow.
Yeah,
So there's a
I
lot
think
of
he,
planning. Okay.
yeah, and I'm sure the planning for next year will start. We're actually already kind of talking about it in the text thread. Who are some of the guys we're talking about nominating and maybe doing a second group? So it's
So
definitely got legs.
you mentioned not being a big NASCAR fan. Did you feel like you missed out on certain aspects of it because you weren't a big fan? Like I'm trying to
No.
imagine like going like I'm not a big soccer fan, but I can
Mhm.
appreciate soccer. I played it growing up. But like so tell me about not being a big NASCAR fan, but going to this enormous NASCAR event.
So yeah, it was the party of it that sold me, in all honesty. But
Mhm.
a little hidden gem, not a hidden gem, but I wasn't quite fully aware of his knowledge. At 1040 Easy is a walking encyclopedia of racing. I
Really?
I,
I've
I
never
made
heard
the
him say
joke.
anything about racing. That's awesome.
Oh man, we could do a whole. Then when we get him on the pod, we're gonna ask him about racing.
Hmm.
Um, it was like sitting with Mel Kiper at the NFL draft, and that
Wow.
thoroughly enhanced my experience with the racing. Because yeah, when you're sitting on it and you're just kind of watching guys go in a circle, okay, without a knowledge, but when you realize um, all the pre race and post race testing and tuning, and how teams on a bigger racetrack like this is something I had no idea. On a bigger racetrack like that, you have to have the teams working together to push the cars because the lead car out in front has so much wind resistance on it. The cars behind it physically bump the rear bumper and push the car forward. But obviously, you're not going to do that for other team members. So that's kind of where the teams come together. And then, as 1040 said, the Fords make nice big horsepower at the track. So yeah, having 1040 there thoroughly enhanced my experience of NASCAR.
And tell me about the activities outside of the race itself. It sounded like you guys got down there pretty early, like Thursday maybe, but the
Yeah,
race
we
wasn't.
got down
Was the
Thursday.
race Saturday or Sunday?
The race was Sunday.
Okay.
Um, Friday night there was a dirt oval race across the street. We didn't make it to that. That rained out. Saturday during the day there were some time trials, practice, and there was an ARCA race. So
Mm.
we got to kind of get a little taste of what the big Cup Series track would be, big Cup Series race would be. And then Saturday evening we went down to the dirt oval track, which was open, So they had the super stock and the late model. I'm sorry, the late model cars and I forget what they call them. I think they're the sprinters. And that was an experience, man. That was fun.
Huh.
Just a little, I think, quarter-mile track, maybe half-mile track, and you know, the dirt's in your face, and it's it was fun. It was a great experience.
And the crowd, I I assume that it's an enormous stadium. So were there people from like all over the country there? But
Yeah,
it's in Alabama, right?
it's in Alabama. Yep, an
Oh,
hour east of Birmingham,
okay.
about, and then about 2 hours west of Atlanta. So kind of between them, not exactly in the middle, but between them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the estimates are between 150 and 200,000 people come to this
Wow.
track. Obviously, so the track is 2.6 miles. So on the infield is like its own little city. I don't know what number of people they get in there, but it's it's like a traveling band of carnival experience. I don't even know how to explain it. It's a rolling city. They have garbage trucks come in every day and empty the garbage. There's guys on four-wheelers selling ice, going door to door like the ice cream man, but selling actual ice.
Wow.
Guys renting scooters, the little electric ride on scooters. I mean, you name it. One of the more interesting experiences was the shower house on the infield. There's a just a big, like any AO, like any park district or outdoor park you go to. It's kind of just a big brick building. Leaves
On
a
the
lot to be
inside of the
desired
track.
on the inside of the track. That's how big the track is.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, and as far as there were people from all over. So the guy next to us, he saw our F3 shirt, and he's actually a PAX down in Huntsville,
Really?
and his name is Sugar. So maybe one day this will be the goal of our podcast to get it all the way down to Sugar in Huntsville. If you hear us, here's a shout out. It was cool to meet you at Talladega. Um, and yeah, I mean, you drive around and there's these RVs from all over. I mean, every state. I'm pretty sure I saw a plate from almost every state.
So tell me about that. You guys drove down in an RV. All of you were together, all nine of you?
Nope, we actually flew down. So
We flew down. Okay.
we kind of did the helicopter model, I guess you'd call it. So, Hanger found a guy that he's worked with, or that he knew from previous engagements, that basically rents the RV. So there's different accommodations, right? But we bought the package with the all-inclusive food and drink, and included the camper, the RV. They drive it down, they park it, they stock it, they clean it and everything. They prepare food for you every day. They kind of do like buffet style.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and it was something else. The food was great. RV Joel, I forget the name of his company, but we'll have to look him up. But he had 40 RVs. This is his business. He's got 40 RVs that go to 8 different tracks all over, and Talladega is one of them. But yeah, our accommodations were all set. We flew in Thursday morning, flew out Monday, excuse me. It was nice though because you go down, you got 9 guys, 3 guys are cooking, one guy's cleaning, everybody else is sitting around. So it gave us a lot more time to
Mhm.
hang out and play bags and party and check everything out. So
So did you guys get a chance to post it all while you're down there?
we did not. There were talks of it.
Or is there a region near Talladega?
1040 looked it up. I think the closest AO was like 45 minutes to an hour away.
Okay.
So there wasn't
Yeah.
anything too. I think if there was something closer, we might have, but we weren't too close to an AO.
It sounded like you were enjoying yourselves a bit at night, which makes it tough to
Yeah,
get up for a
some
5:15
of
like
us were
that.
probably still inebriated at 5:15, let alone 4:30, to actually get up and get there on time. So, um, yeah, I don't know how well that would have worked, but it would have been cool. Maybe next year.
Yeah. No, that's great. I was talking to, I don't know if it was Ricola. I was talking to somebody since you guys went down there. I think it was Ricola,
Hmm.
just about how cool of an experience that is, just to get guys together as an adult, guys in our, you know, middle age years, uh, and kind of treat it like a college trip, or like
Hmm.
getting your high school buddies together, just doing something. Like how often do guys our age get together with another group of guys and go and do, like I would love to do that for out of town football game or baseball trip or just something where the guys, like that you are gonna have a good time with these guys, but you just get out of the area and go and see some cool new part of the country. And I think we should think about things like that and then attach it to another region and go and post. Imagine a group of 9 guys from Alabama showing up in Chaminwood and then posting at the same time.
That would be awesome.
That'd be really
Yeah,
cool.
it's funny. I talked to Recall about that a little bit too, because he's from Nebraska and he talked about
Mm,
going back and just making a road trip, go down for a weekend, hit a couple AOs up, go do the tourist thing and come back on a Monday or whatever.
yeah, that'd be good. We'll have to kick that around a little bit more, see if we can put some flesh to that.
Yeah.
All right. And any other stories you want to share from the Talladega trip?
Yeah, I'll share one more. I'll put myself on the hook here for this one. So we got a 6-man golf cart. We're driving around, and there's a big ramp that goes under the curb that goes under the one of the turns to get outside of the track. So um, we're going to the outside of the track for the customer experience center, whatever they call it. We got the cart loaded up. There's 6 of us on there, and it's just a little it's a gas powered golf cart, so it obviously doesn't have a ton of horsepower. But coming up the ramp, you've got to have full momentum or you won't make it.
Mhm.
So we're driving, we're about to go down, and 1040 says, "Hang on a second, make sure you got enough runway because there's a bus in front of us. You got to be able to give it full throttle all the way down to get back up the hill." Like, all right. So the bus and the track was all wet too, so the tires were kind of spinning a little bit. This bus in front of us gets about, I'd say about halfway through. I think, all right, I'm good. And then he hits his tail lights going up. And I'm like, oh no. So I gassed it as far as I can. Didn't quite give it enough. Didn't quite get enough momentum, and we made it about 3/4 of the way up the hill and started rolling back a little bit. And 1040 and Hanger had to get off and push. Luckily, everybody was okay, but that could have been I don't know what you would have done. Just let it roll downhill.
Yeah, I guess if there's
There's
somebody behind you, you couldn't really do that. But
Yeah, there was. I don't know if he could have got us up, but
oh
yeah,
man.
it was interesting. It was fun. A scary situation, but luckily we made it out and
Well, it's good to
everybody was okay.
have guys who know what they're doing down there in that kind of trip. I'm
Yeah,
sure a lot of
absolutely.
that could have gone really badly if you didn't have guys who knew what they were doing.
Yeah, if we had to think
Um,
on the fly on that, that would have might have been a different outcome.
all right, well let's transition. We'll stay in second F for a couple of minutes, but what I wanted to do is introduce this pack spotlight Q&A kind of section of this podcast. I've got so many guys who have very unique stories, very unique backgrounds, but there's always something that ties us together. And I think we don't get enough, especially depending on when you come into F3, we don't get enough time or have the opportunity to get to know each other and what our own stories are. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about your story. I wanted to help
Hmm.
people get to know you a little bit better. I'll start just by asking how you found F3, who EH'd you or where you discovered it,
Yeah.
maybe what your post count is up to today, and then tell me a little bit about your experience so far, where you got your name also.
Yep. So my first post was November 6th, 2023, Three Rivers Evening. I was EH by Trifecta, who I played basketball with for probably 12, 15 years now, somewhere in that range.
Wow.
Interestingly enough, I'd seen a F3 post a week or two before from Trojan in Plainfield, who I went to high school with, and he posted it, and I looked at it, and I'm like, this looks cool, but 5:15 in the morning, I'm okay with
Yeah,
that, which I think is very common for most folks.
absolutely.
Um, and then Trifecta mentioned to me that there was an evening workout, 5:15 p.m., and I said, all right, I'll at least give it a chance. It looked interesting. Came out and I was hooked, right? Like a lot of us. We come out for the first F, and I think it's definitely the brotherhood that keeps us coming out.
Mhm.
As far as my name, I was asked what was the last there, as we do with the FNGs and throw a bunch of questions out. Somebody asked me, what was the last time your wife or your M got upset with you? And at that particular time, it was that I left the dogs home alone for too long.
Mhm.
We have 4 small dogs, and I left them home alone too long. And because of that, she was upset with me, and I was in the doghouse. But I
Fitting.
love my name. I know not all of them are. They're not meant to be flattering, but I think the man makes the name, and
Yeah, I've
I
heard
love it.
sparklers say that the name doesn't make the man makes the name.
Yeah.
And you're right. I I think depending on what we say in that few minutes of our F and G intro, our name is usually built around some embarrassing story, something that does kind of break you down in a way. So it's not intended to be a very flattering name. It's kind of intended to ground you, I think.
It kind of reminds me of The Office when Andy met Jim and he was eating a tuna sandwich. Just happened to have a tuna sandwich that day, and Jim
Big
calls
tuna.
him, I'm sorry, yeah, Andy calls him Big Tuna throughout
Hmm.
the whole series. It's kind of similar in a way, but you also asked me my post count. I
Yeah,
glossed over that. Sorry.
yeah.
Right around 350
Okay, wow, that's awesome.
in
So
about a
what
year and a half. Yeah.
to get to that point, what's been your typical posting cadence like during the week?
Yeah, I'm shooting for 4 to 5 days a week. Typically, like I said, Mondays are at the island, typically.
Mhm.
Uh, Tuesdays are hit or miss. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I kind of try to rest. That's kind of been my recent cadence. Wednesday, I'll try to hit the wood. Like I said, I try to get a black diamond here and there. Fridays is always Three Rivers. That's a given.
Mhm.
And then, of course, Saturday with the beatdown, the EBC, and the ruck.
There, are you doing a lot of second F and third F stuff outside of that?
I am as well, and I skipped over again. I am PsyQ Monday and Wednesday evening, so I'm hitting those as well at Three Rivers.
Mhm.
Yeah, second F, third F as much as I can. Really trying to get third F going in the region with the Northern Illinois Food Bank. Definitely going to try to get there this Friday. We've got Mother's Day, Pink Heels Day. We'll talk about that a little bit more, I know. Um, second F, yeah, pretty much every opportunity that comes up, I'm usually there. We got a big one coming up Monday, the barbecue.
Mhm.
That's some of my favorite. Uh, Good embodiment of what F3 really is. We work out and then at 6 o'clock when we're done, do our cookout. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I miss out on a lot of that. I have to get home right after the workouts to help get my daughter ready for school. And so
Hmm.
I don't stick around for cafeteria as often as I'd like to. But like we got together a couple weeks ago to watch WrestleMania at Night
Hmm.
Apprentice. And it was cool just to get out of the house and kind of like the Talladega thing, like just hang out with other guys and watch something on TV. And we've done it for the fantasy football draft. I know that there's the bowling every couple of weeks. I missed that. But so many great opportunities. Again, that we just, as guys our age, just don't have a lot of social opportunities to hang out. Like I play
Hmm.
softball, you play basketball, but outside of that, like when do we really have a chance to get out of the house and just hang out with other dudes? Not very often.
And let me ask you this, because this was my experience. What group, and a big part of F3 is about proximity, right? When you choose
Mhm.
typically as adults with all of our obligations, we really only have one. We kind of have to limit to really one extracurricular. One thing I noticed, and I wonder if this is your experience as well, is my social circle for a long time, 10 or 15 years, was primarily only people I was playing basketball with. I
Mm.
wonder if you had the same with softball.
Uh, not as much. The softball guys, I would usually only see during softball season.
Okay.
So 6 months out of the year, I'd see those guys every week. But then once the winter hit, I wouldn't see them for 6 months. So
Wow.
like I spend so much time looking forward to softball season, and then when it's over, like I just don't see those guys anymore. Now that's it's a little bit different this year because a lot of the guys that we rebuilt our team around are right here in my neighborhood, or
Hmm.
they're in F3. So I see them as it is on a pretty regular basis. But I would say 10 or 15 years ago, most of the guys that I saw socially on a regular basis were guys I went to high school with, the guys I grew up with. And then over time, like we all spread out, we all moved to different areas, our lives were growing in different stages, getting married, having kids, changing jobs. And you start to realize like, man, some of the only stuff we have in common is the fact that we grew up in the same area.
Right.
We've all grown in such different ways. Whereas I think coming back to F3 and finding that proximity with guys who are in my neighborhood, like the wood is a mile away from my house. So a lot of the guys we work out with live either on the other side of the park or
Hmm.
right here in the neighborhood. I was EH'd by LaRussa, who lives like 2 blocks away from me after a softball game, actually. Um, but a lot of that proximity really does matter because to have these strong and at times vulnerable relationships, you've really got to see people. You can't just be on a text thread and be like, hey, get your ass out of bed and get to a workout.
Right.
around work. But you'd mentioned you came over from Trifecta's invitation. Have you seen other basketball guys come over since? I know you play with a couple other guys who play in Plainfield.
Let me think. Yeah, I think that's more coincidental. At least out of the group
Mhm.
that Trifecta and I run in. We do have a close buddy, Tim. We're trying to get out. He's up north a little bit, Chicago Heights area. We're trying to get him out. But other than that, not really. I know Mahomes and Cutler are both
Butler.
players.
Yeah.
Cutler, I happen to play against in the Naperville League.
Mhm.
I've seen guys here and there, but uh, not a ton.
Yeah, I wonder if there's something to you think about like the profile of the typical F3 guy, like how much of it matters that you've got some organized sports background, that's something that tends to draw guys in, whether it's the staying in shape part or the camaraderie part, like you mentioned, the locker room, or just feeling that need to stay competitive and push yourself. Whereas
Hmm.
if you never really played sports, maybe that's not something that interested you ever. Wonder if that's a factor.
Yeah, I think so.
Uh,
There's definitely competition aspect that keeps me going.
mhm. And outside of that, I'm curious if there are ways, tangible or intangible ways that joining F3 has impacted your life that you can think of off the top of your head.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to be corny and cheesy and say it's a mindset or a lifestyle, but in a way, it permeates a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Like I said, my primary social circle right now is F3. Talladega is as you alluded to, is not a trip that I could get 8 guys together for,
Mhm.
B, let alone actually put together, right? So, I mean, that's an example of how F3 is, it's kind of a smaller specific example, but I'm not a morning person by any stretch, especially with work from home. If I got a call at 9 o'clock, I'm rolling over at 8:59. So, um, getting up, getting early, it's been a mindset shift for me. Getting up early and getting stuff done, whatever it
Mhm.
is, right? You get home, you work out 5:15 to 6. You have a little coffee. You're home by 6:30. All right, let's go through the first round of emails. Let's make breakfast. Let's throw a load of laundry in.
Mhm.
So it really has for me, the timing in the morning, starting my day earlier, getting through more stuff, obviously changes the whole sleep schedule, right? If we're getting up at 4:30 to be at a 5:15 workout, we're heading to bed a little earlier.
Mhm.
Um, and then the second half, right? I mean, there's I think almost every night of the week you could find a guy from F3 to go do something with, whether it's a ruck or go have a beer or watch a game or bowling or whatever the case may be. There's always something going on, and then of course our bigger planned events are always well attended as well. So,
Mhm.
um, and to touch on third F, got introduced to the uh, even before F3, I would try as much as I could to help with homeless shelters or DuPage pads when I was living in Naperville or whatever the case may be, giving back, feed my starving children through work. And F3 is just another avenue to give back with different opportunities, right? So we've got the Interfaith Pantry in Plainfield, we've helped Northern Illinois Food Bank down here in Joliet, and again, feed my starving children, amongst others, right? Things come up, specific efforts for fundraising or whatever the case may be, but um, it's I can't begin to describe what an impact it's made on my life. It's been a tough year for me personally, 2024, going through a lot, and having my brothers there with me in F3 has made all the difference.
It's interesting. There are two things you said there that stood out to me. The first about the social circle. Um, I was just looking at I posted something on Facebook today. I was looking at the people who liked it or commented it, and what I was noticing was like how many similar mutual friends we had.
Hmm.
And I noticed like the person that I probably had the most mutual friends with outside of like my sister, outside of my family,
Hmm.
was foreclosure. He had like 31
Oh,
mutual
interesting.
friends. I'm like, yeah, and I saw another F3 guy, 25 mutual friends. Like this is the social circle I've built over the last 2 years. Like all these people who obviously, put Facebook in a box, but all these people that I know now that I spend my time with, the people that I surround myself with for the majority of my time is all guys I met through F3 or guys that I've met previously and I've tried to bring into F3. It just
Mhm.
it doesn't, it doesn't end. Like it goes directions. So I thought that was interesting. You mentioned the social circle is definitely the same experience I've had. And then the other, like being able to find guys to do something with socially on any given night is one thing, but I know you've experienced this too, just having guys to help out with stuff. Like I have to
Yeah,
make a post today or tomorrow because my wife and I are looking for a babysitter for our daughter, just so we can have more time for ourselves. And we don't know a lot of kids in the neighborhood. So I'm gonna reach out to F3 and I'm gonna be like, hey, does anybody have a daughter or know somebody who can babysit my daughter so we can have some time for ourselves? But that's the kind of
yeah,
network that it really is. I think that's great.
yeah. Higher up packs, anything,
Mhm.
any trade, any experience, anything we need. There, we've got a guy in F3 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. All right, I wanted to move for a few minutes to third F. You've alluded to some of it. We actually just this morning after a ruck, um, but it's just to take a half step back. When we talk about third F, we're talking about community related
Mhm.
events, local businesses, schools, nonprofits, whatever the case may be, but ways to take what we're building as male leaders and give it back to the community to reinvest in the areas where we live and the areas where we work out. And this morning, after our ruck at the Wood, we were coming back, and I think Ricola or Soft Hands kind of veered us off in a different direction from the parking lot. And we ended up by the softball fields where they have games, softball games, baseball games, soccer games all week and all weekend. And just asked everybody to pick up a piece of garbage if you see it. So we were just walking like spread out, all 18 of us, just like
Mhm.
spread out throughout the fields, picking up candy wrappers and straw wrappers and little cups and just doing that kind of stuff as a group to give back to the community that kind of allows us to be there, allows us to work out. And
Yeah,
um, I thought that was really cool. That's a really good example of how F3 is more than a free workout group for men. It's something that uh, has value to the wider community too. And I know there's other things that are going on, so I was hoping you could touch on some of the other community events that we have going on, at least right now, in
yeah,
the Chaminwood region.
yeah. The next one coming up will be next Sunday. That's our Pink Heels 11th annual Mother's Day Walk. That's their biggest event, biggest fundraiser of the year. Sunday, May 11th. That's Shanahan Village Hall, 7:30 a.m. start. My first year doing that one, so I'm very excited for that. Just signed up a couple days ago. Also coming up this month, we have the Manuka Lions Club Memorial Day Parade, which will be Monday, May 26th at 10 a.m. We
I
know the
think
parades are always,
we're walking that, right? We have
we will be,
we're
yeah, we will be registered. If not already, I got to double check on that.
tossing out
Uh,
candy and stuff for the kids.
yep, tossing out candy, handing out flyers, EH, and trying to get guys out. So
Hmm.
looking forward to that. And finally, after much ado, we have CMW gear available, CMW Chaminwood gear available for pre-order on Mud Gear. So
Yeah,
if you're listening, if you're in the region, you've got a week. I think our pre-order goes up till Friday.
yeah. I heard. I thought I heard someone mention this morning that we only had like 5 orders in, and we need like a minimum of 12. I ordered 2 shirts myself, so I don't know if that counts separately because I ordered
Yeah,
individually or what,
there's
but
one per
yeah.
style, or excuse me, there's the sleeveless with the shammer. That's one
Mhm.
pre-order, and then the region logo is another one. So I got to get my order in. And I think SLT will probably order a couple extras to have if we're
Yeah.
getting close.
Maybe put something out on Slack letting guys know what they need to order to meet the minimum.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I'd hate to see us not, yeah, I'd hate to see us miss that opportunity. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, as we talked about at the top, all the workouts end in a circle of trust. Obviously, this is not a workout, but I wanted to end this first episode of the podcast with a short COT. We've talked so much about F3 being more than a workout group, and I think we hit on that pretty well today. But uh, I know we've also all tried to explain that in one way or another. That it's often hard to put into words when you're trying to EH a guy, trying to get him to try F3, and you're trying to explain how it's different from a gym, how it's different from whatever he's doing in his basement on a regular basis. So I think about the bricklayer challenge and how that involves, not only exercise but also nutrition and reflection and journaling and accountability with our shield lock and reading for personal development. This kind of stuff that you just can't get at a gym or you can't get in your basement. Like a gym's not going to be like, hey, make sure you go home and read 10 pages of some book that's going to help you become a better person. They just don't
Right.
care. It's not their business model, understandably. You can't get that there. And I also think about what we talked about earlier regarding Tommy Bartlett and how Picasso literally brought F3 to him to lift him
Hmm.
up. Like that wasn't for any other reason than to lift up one of the brothers who just couldn't be there. He doesn't get to do what we get to do in the gloom anymore. I think about all the ways that F3 not only helps our communities, as you mentioned, but also helps us become stronger men for our families, for our communities, and for each other. And when I think about this podcast, whatever eventually it's going to become, I hope it can do what F3 does so well, which is to make us all a little bit better. Right.
Absolutely.
All right. And any final thoughts before we close out, as we always do?
Well done. Like you said, our first run, I think we did okay.
Yeah.
Got to a lot of topics. I think an interesting note, I'm keeping an eye on the time. We got right at 45 minutes. So if we kept it right around there, like the workouts, that would be interesting. So
Yeah.
um,
That's a good
great
point.
job. I appreciate you putting it together and looking forward to future episodes.
All right. So before I stop the record, I'll close this out by saying I am Bill Skaronsky, 46, and I'm Puddles.
John Christ, 41, Doghouse.
See you, Doghouse.